As you know, the governing program actually is built on the resiliency, it's built on innovation, and it's built on improving of our health and our well-being. To start with, the first pillar on which our governing program is rested is the resilience aspect. And of course, for resiliency, whatever you do in a country, to actually guarantee resiliency, you will have to have a legal framework. And that has been always a challenge in this country, to establish legal frameworks for vision plans to have sustainability. This government is focusing on legislation in the coming 4 years, and we're going to have the possibility, if everything works out, to work on our electoral reform. We want to work on the mental health care professional registry that has recently been introduced, that we are starting to work on. We're going to try to work on the placement of political assistants in the cabinet of the ministers. Also, a challenge every time again by formation of a government is the screening process of ministers, and there should be some more clarity in this process, and the only way to guarantee clarity is to bring evident legislation. And of course, I have here the Minister of Romy next to me, and he is also committed to work on the waste ordinance that is an absolute necessity for the country of St. Martin. Coming back to the topic of resiliency, we spoke about, for example, the electoral reform. A second option that I think is important in guaranteeing resiliency of our island St. Martin in totality is, of course, guaranteeing a cross-border collaboration and regional collaboration for our people of our country. We have to work on enhancing our cross-border collaboration, of course, with the French side, but also focus on the possibility of strengthening our working relationship with the French side. Areas where we think that we should work intensively with each other is, for example, a coordinated emergency response mechanisms for hurricanes and other natural disasters. Another topic will be in our working relationship exploring joint initiatives to facilitate cross-border commerce, investments, and tourism growth. Also enhancing collaboration on immigration, law enforcement, and security protocols to ensure seamless movement of people while safeguarding national interest. And also encouraging deeper integration through education, of course, culture, and social initiatives. In regard to regional collaboration, we are focusing this year for us to see if we can become a associate member of the CARICOM or from the OECS, the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States. On the basis of further analyzing the governing program, we also see that we focus a lot on the pillar of innovation. Innovation is crucial to improve efficiency, drive growth, and tackle, of course, the modern challenges of nowadays. Our government has committed to focusing on digitalization within government and investing in our education as a way to ensure that we are prepared to embrace new technologies and opportunities. Of course, in the term and focus of innovation, we're going to focus also on renewable green energy in the coming years. And what government is also going to focus on as a pillar of innovation is, of course, the digitalization that is an absolute necessity to actually reorganize the functioning of the government apparatus. And last but not least, of course, we will have to invest in education. We're still seeing the lack of professionals that we need in our country to help us develop our nation. We will have to focus to actually organize our educational system in a way that it will adjust and comfort the necessities of the labor market. And of course, we will have to develop the implementation of a national artificial intelligence in our educational system. And as the Minister of Education is very focused on, we have to make sure that we finalize in the coming 4 years the reconstruction of Sister Marie Laurence School in Middle Region, and of course also from the Charles Leopold Bell School, and not to forget the National Library that is very close to my heart, because I really believe that if we have the status of a country, we have to have the right also to have a national library for our people. A other chapter that we focus on in our governing program is strengthening of our healthcare. The health and well-being of the residents of St. Martin is vital to the success of our country. We will have to focus during this governing period on the prevention in healthcare, the quality of our healthcare, and the affordability of our healthcare. Further, we are going to focus on increasing public awareness of mental health and initiating the building of an adequate mental health facility to better serve our community. We also are going to work on the establishment of a medical health professional registry, as I said. That is actually the one that is going to substitute the big registration that we are now working with, which will allow medical professionals outside the kingdom to also register and practice on St. Martin, thereby increasing the diversity and availability of medical specialists for country St. Martin. And of course, one of my babies is the hospital. We will continue to focus to keep the construction pace of the hospital at a high level for us to be able to finalize the project of the hospital in the coming 4 governing years.
There has been an influx of garbage dumping in hotspots like Town, in the middle of the day, shortly after the garbage has already been picked up. Haulers have schedules that are posted. So I ask the community to adhere to those times as well. We need to do our part to keep our island clean. Haulers post their schedules so you can see when they should be in your area for pickup. If haulers don't abide by the schedules, you can submit timestamp photos and complaints to the Department of Infrastructure Contract Management. The ministry is in the process of reviewing all contracts, a lengthy process to ensure that proper service is given to all communities. In addition, as announced in January, we are working on legislation to issue fines, including for illegal dumping. Until this is realized, I urge everyone to not dump your trash right after the scheduled pickups. This could result in your trash being outside for a prolonged period of time until the next scheduled pickup date. Tourism is our economic pillar, but most importantly, the quality of life and health of our residents is fundamental. It will take all of us doing our part to keep our island clean and beautiful. On Monday, I announced a significant milestone in our ongoing efforts to transform waste management on our island. And no, this was not an April Fool's joke. The government of St. Martin will introduce an entrance fee of 10 Caribbean guilders at the landfill. This marks an essential step in addressing the long-standing waste management challenges we have faced as a nation. The decision was not made lightly. It follows years of planning, public consultations, and environmental assessments aimed at ensuring that our approach is both sustainable and beneficial for the people. The implementation of this fee is a critical component of our broader Waste Vision 2050, which seeks to establish a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future for all. Studies have highlighted the urgent need for change, pointing to issues such as landfill overcapacity, groundwater contamination risks, and increasing health concerns for surrounding communities. Through consultation and expert analysis, it became clear that a structured waste management approach, including responsible financial mechanisms, was necessary. The introduction of this fee is backed by extensive research and observations of best practices on the front side and as well as neighboring islands. Over the past few years, delegations from St. Martin visited Aruba, Barbados, and Curacao to study their waste management systems. We learned that similar fee structures have successfully worked to reduce and help manage waste volumes while generating critical funds for further environmental improvements. With proper implementation and public awareness, these initiatives have proven effective in securing long-term benefits for both the environment and the economy. Infrastructure improvements are already underway as part of this transformation. A weighbridge is scheduled to arrive in April and will introduce precise waste volume measurement, laying the groundwork for a volume-based tipping fee system, which I spoke extensively about since taking office. Additionally, the resettlement area of impact, that's exactly the area right next to the landfill, is almost fully cleared, creating more space for waste sorting and improved landfill management. We understand that change can bring concerns. The introductory 10 Caribbean guilder fee has been strategically set to ease the transition while supporting immediate improvements for our waste management system. Revenue generated will be allocated towards necessary upgrades until the establishment of the Waste Management Authority, which will oversee future developments in the sector. The entrance fee and accompanying infrastructure improvements mark the beginning of a phased implementation plan that includes the following: full integration of the weighbridge system for volume-based tipping fees, expansion of waste processing capabilities of the resettlement area of impact, commonly known as the RIE, development of waste diversion programs, acquisition of specialized equipment, including concrete crushers and green waste shredders, establishment of a dedicated waste authority, introduction of waste separation and reduction initiatives, and finally, the launch of educational programs to promote sustainable waste practices. This is not just about a fee. It's about changing our relationship with waste and taking responsibility for our environment. These steps are part of a larger vision that requires collective effort from all of us. I acknowledge the concerns raised by the public and understand that the transitions like these can be challenging. However, I urge all residents to see this as a necessary step towards a better future for St. Martin. For more information on the landfill entrance fee, implementation schedule, and answers to frequently asked questions, I encourage residents to visit the government website or scan the QR code displayed on the landfill billboard.
It's time for a new brand that is as bold, vibrant, and colorful as the island of St. Martin, with colors drawn from our diversity, cultural heritage, and nature. Our breathtaking beaches, waters, and sun, the majestic brown pelican, our national symbol, the radiant yellow sage, our national flower, the historic border monument signifying the Dutch and French sides, our exciting cruise, yachting, and boating ports, renowned Maho Beach and St. Martin Airport, the hub to the Caribbean. All these parts come together to create the shape of the island of St. Martin. More than a logo. It's a new brand that engages, excites, and will inspire travelers to book. It's time to tell the St. Martin story, to reintroduce travelers to St. Martin, to honor our past, to embrace our present, and shape our future. Our culture and diversity, Dutch and French sides, unrivaled cuisine, twice the nightlife, entertainment, and shopping, cruises, boating, and yachting, twice the adventure, exploration, and relaxation, splendid and scenic accommodations, Pinel, Tentamar, and island hopping in the Caribbean. Whatever your taste, St. Martin has more. Experience twice the Caribbean. St. Martin.
Today, as it was mentioned by the President of Parliament, presenting a concept on farming on water, because we have a situation in St. Martin where we don't have land. But it is not impossible to farm because we have a salt pond. As you can see, it starts. Swaliga Fitos Floating Farms is the name that I came up with because Swaliga is what the name of the island was. The plan is to repurpose the salt pond. The plan is to repurpose the salt pond. I'll continue as it will come back online. We have an opportunity here to do a local agribusiness project. It is innovative and it is sustainable and it is local economic development. It's local agribusiness project. It's innovative. It is so it's orange economy. It's sustainable. And it is economic development for the island. This is where we can start looking towards a financial independence. As small as it may be, it's just like the moon, the small step on the moon. It is local production, and it's done by local human resource. When food importation becomes risky, we know we had that situation with 2020 that it was food sources were not reliable and they became very expensive. We need to be thinking on how to become at least partially self-sustainable. We have a viable option because we have the salt pond, as you can see to the right of the picture. And then I say, when land becomes scarce, farm on water. It's not inventing of a wheel. It's been done throughout the world, on salt water, on sweet water, but farming on water, whether you farm on the water directly, on top of it, or using the water, no? So we have the infrastructure, and later down in this presentation, you will see that we also have the financing for this project. The importation of goods is capital flight. This is no news. We all know this. Every time you buy something, you import it, our money goes off. Local production, on the other hand, translates into our country's GDP growth because the money is made here and it stays here. Outsourced farming, the pros and cons thereof. The pro thereof is that we have large terrain to farm on. Pretty much that's the only one that I could have come up with. The cons, on the other hand, one, production. It's potential production loss due to bad weather. Potential production theft. It might be by others that come in and thief. It might be by the same workers on the plantation, but theft possibility is there. Quality control. You don't have that guarantee. In particular, if you're exporting, you're going to see at the end of it, quality control is it's a great issue. Point two, rental contract. You have capital flight and you have contract conditions. The people might have very stringent conditions with the contract that might put St. Martin in a precarious situation. And then human resource, also a capital flight, loss of work opportunities for our local people. And then we have the logistics of shipping. If it's shipped via Miami, stringent importation through port, shipping regulations and cost are added and passed on to the consumer. Costs like fruit maturity are checked, preservation, packaging, and handling requirements. All these are costs that are passed on besides the cost of handling by the how do you say, the authority there. The vision for this project is to provide St. Martin with a viable and sustainable source of fresh produce, poultry, and meat utilizing cages and soil-based floors. The mission to provide a viable source of year-round selection of high-quality agriculture products at reasonable prices, thus achieving a small yet significant level of self-reliance, self-sustainability, and community empowerment. The values. We value in this project the quality of our products, the consistency of it, the affordability of it, which I will elaborate further on, self-sustainability rather than dependence, and community empowerment. If we can offer the top four, we empower our community. Our core value is to achieve self-sustainability and self-reliance, starting with viable agriculture development. I have here a list of products that we can farm. They are not necessarily the products that we are going to farm. We have to always consider the size of farming space that we have. And then I divided them into products of sustenance, products of accompaniments, and meat and egg. We can, for example, I say let's do farming of crops, but let's consider very much products of sustenance. For example, if I farm and feed tomato to the people, I give them a lot of vitamins and calories in their body, but it will not fill their stomach. On the other hand, if I feed you aubergine, an eggplant, it will sustain you for a while. And that is what I mean by products of sustenance. And then you get eggplant, mushroom, okra, beans, cabbage as an example of. There are others, but why mention so many? We see what would work best for us. And then complements, you have the pepper variety, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, celery, and so on. Meat. Meat for me is very important. I want to discuss that. We have, as you see, chicken for meat, chicken for egg, and then rabbit. I will go back on elaborating on the chicken for meat, for egg and rabbit. But for now, I will give you an example of, it's an Excel drawing of what the cages would look like. If I may, in the bottom, you see the three colors, gray, blue, and white. The gray represents the sand in the bottom of the water of the salt pond. And then on top of it is the air between the water and the bottom frame. And then you have different cages that you can make. You have, I'm here specifying broilers as chicken and not eggs. And I will elaborate on the reason further below. But you have cages where you can, when they become small, up to 2 weeks, and then they grow up to 4 weeks, and then you pass them on so they can, after 6 weeks, they are ready for market. Vis-a-vis the chicken for eggs. Chicken for eggs, it takes up to 5 to 6 months for them to be market ready, so for them to lay their first eggs. And if I go down, you have chicken have a lot of, maintenance and requirements in order to have them ready before they even start laying an egg. While if it's poultry, so chicken for meat, it's only 6 weeks from birth to ready for market. That means less maintenance, less feed, and also less, products to keep them healthy.